Hello, everyone. It's Wednesday, April the 12th, and thank you for being with us today. We got some good news about some things and lots of news. Erica Balgus is going to join us. She's the executive director of the West Virginia Housing and Development Fund, and also Secretary James Bailey is going to join us from Commerce. I'm going to start out with the Housing Development Fund. I want to read this to you and everything, but for the past year, the West Virginia Homeowners Rescue Program has connected 4,200 West Virginia homeowners with more than $15 million in tax-free federal assistance to help them stay in their homes. Now, we all know that through this terrible COVID situation that we've all, stood arm in arm and pulled the rope together with and everything, that a lot of folks got really, really down on their luck, and it could very well have been that they would have lost their home, and 4,200 people took advantage of this in West Virginia. Over the past year, the West Virginia Homeowners Rescue Program has prevented foreclosures, saved homes from the auction block, and reconnected utilities in an effort to help homeowners affected by the COVID situation be able to have housing stability. And to commemorate that 1-year anniversary of this very important program, I'm joined by Erica Balgus and have declared April 2023 as Housing Stabilization Awareness Month. So I have a proclamation to sign. And Erica, I'm going to turn it over to you after I sign the proclamation, but here we go. But Erica, this is Housing Stabilization Awareness Month. This is the proclamation. You take it over from here.
Yay. Thank you, Governor. I just so appreciate Governor Justice here signing this proclamation and recognizing the importance of housing stability, for our state residents. Research shows us that stable housing leads to better health outcomes and better education outcomes, and there's a huge economic impact to having a stably housed workforce. So this is incredibly important. And just as the governor said, over the past year that we've been operating the homeowner rescue program, we've helped over 4,200 West Virginia families keep their home. But we know there are more people out there that need this assistance, and we really want to encourage people to apply. Again, as the governor pointed out, this is tax-free money, and this is a once-in-a-lifetime program that's not going to be here forever, but it is so important. Homeowners can get up to $20,000 if they're behind in their mortgage. They can also get help up to $5,000 on their real estate taxes and their insurance, and $2,500 toward their utilities. And this can make a huge difference. When you've fallen behind in these type of payments, it's a hole that it's incredibly hard to get out of. So we really want to encourage people to apply for this assistance. It's important to apply sooner rather than later. You don't want to wait till the day your utilities are going to be cut off to seek help. Act now. And then I want to emphasize too, you don't have to have a mortgage loan to apply for assistance. If you own your home outright and are behind on your utilities or your taxes, you are still eligible for this program. All the information about eligibility and what you need to apply is on our website at wvhdf.com. And again, we know there's people out there that need help, and we want all West Virginians that need help to apply because we want to keep our citizens stably housed. And thank you so much, Governor, for your attention on this matter.
No, Erica, thank you so much. And listen, let's just take time to thank you for all the great work and all your people and everything that have done an incredible work really helping people save their homes. I mean, it's a great job. Really, really proud of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, this one's tough for me, but there was and I'm going to tell you the story. But there's a little man that stood out in front of the Greenbrier for a long time. His name was Frank Mosley, and Frank just passed away this week. I don't know exactly, but I think Frank was in his early 90s. Maybe not, but real close. But Frank had worked at the Greenbrier for the past 60 years. You know, he was always noticeable because he wore a red coat, and there he was at the front door forever. Now, I want to tell you a story real quick about this man. And I hope I've got this right. But he and Dale Mann were going to be inducted into the All Academic and Athletic Hall of Fame at Dunbar, I think was the high school. And of all people, the person that they decided to present them, way before I ever thought about ever running for governor, they asked if I would do it. You know, I couldn't believe it, to tell you the truth. You know, it was a real honor on my part. From time to time, you know, I'd go, you know, fishing, and Frank would ask me if I could bring him some bass fish. And he loved bass to eat. And I did that often. Absolutely made people smile. He had a wonderful gift, and we'll really miss him. Bob Conti, who's the historian at the Greenbrier, he said this about Frank, and I want to read this to you. He said, Frank had lost his job in the coal mines. He was a native of Fayette County, and he came to the resort seeking a job. They told him they didn't have any jobs available at that time. And yet he came every single day and was told over and over that they don't have any openings. He continued to come, and finally there was a temporary opening that he could fill in for a person that was out on a 2-week vacation in housekeeping. He started working at the Greenbrier in 1959. You know, it was the same year that the construction began on the bunker that was there. It is amazing life, and we thank him in many ways. You know, one day not long ago, I just happened by the Greenbrier and I had Baby Dog with me, and he said, have you got those glasses that Baby Dog had on? Because, you know, she'd put them on somewhere and everything. He said, let me have Baby Dog. And so I got her out of the car and put her on his lap. And I've got a picture of it right there. But there she sat in her glasses on his lap and everything. But that man made everybody smile. He brought an awful lot of goodness to this world. I was really proud to be the presenter of him going in to the Academic and Athletic Hall of Fame. We lost a good man right there, and we'll all miss him. Surely Kathy and I are keeping him in our prayers. We ask you to do the same. Here's some good news. Today, you know, I am announcing that we are now beginning in your paychecks this month, in the month of May, or the paychecks rather, that will start in the month of May, all state employees will no longer be charged a parking fee for parking at the state capitol or any other state facility. And this only applies to state employees who are currently charged for parking. But You'll see a little bit extra dollars in your paychecks, and that's good news. And I thank the legislature for giving us the means and the ability to be able to do that. At 1:30 today, we're going to go to visit a Mountaineer Food Bank in Rock Branch, and we are officially going there to commemorate, something that we did in our budget that we put into the budget this year. Nobody in West Virginia needs to be going hungry. That's all there is to it. And we're doing all kinds of stuff, but we need an emergency fund. My uncle, Posey Perry, died at the age of 94. He was the last survivor of my mom's brothers and sisters. But yet, after he retired from the coal mines, Posey Perry made trip after trip almost on a daily basis to the food bank on Huff Creek, a pantry there. He worked it night and day. He was an absolute Christian beyond belief. His wife, Sid, is still living, and we surely miss this man. So we've named it the Posey Perry Fund. But really what it is $10 million of emergency assistance. If something breaks through and we need an emergency level of assistance, and for lots and lots and lots of our pantries and food banks, literally, we don't need people going hungry in West Virginia. So this will be $10 million that'll be there in reserve, just in case. And hopefully we'll use it, and it'll be used for the greatest use. Reaching out a hand, helping those. Can you imagine? Can you honestly imagine, going hungry today? And we've got too many folks in West Virginia that are still in that boat. Another great thing that just got through happening and everything, especially for the Morgantown area, was Unbio. It is a South Korean pharmaceutical company that is coming to West Virginia. The company will very quickly ramp up to 200 jobs. And the company is investing $100 million in phase one of the project. Hopefully it will blossom to more and more jobs. But what would be fabulous beyond belief is this company is absolutely on the cusp of being able to administer, an insulin shot once a week for people, the diabetic community and everything that's suffering through shot after shot, day after day after day. So the Unbio people, came, and Chairman Son, was here, and, what a really good man. And what I loved more than anything, he said, first of all, they're our friends, our allies. The South Koreans, absolutely, we fought a war there, and he appreciates us beyond belief. But the thing that is so profound, he said, I'm a Christian, and absolutely God has brought me here. He had his son with him. You can tell all over him is honor and respect and appreciation. And I wish them the very best, and I think they'll do great work, and it's another step to us bringing more and more opportunities, 200 high-paying jobs right there in West Virginia, and in an area that where we lost a boatload of pharmaceutical jobs, and we're building back. We thank WVU, we thank the legislature, we thank everyone that's pulled the rope to make this become a reality. He was here not long ago, right in this office. We absolutely connected, and lo and behold, it's a reality. So it's great stuff. More good news, West Virginia exports. I don't know if we're first or second in the nation as far as our coal production, but West Virginia exports have now totaled, let me get this straight, our export market grew for the third year in a row to a value of $7.6 billion in the state of West Virginia in 2022. The success in 2022 also marks a 20% increase in export returns over 2021. And so really great stuff. Not only coal, but automotive products, plastics, chemicals, different types of metals, hardwood lumber, ag products and everything, all kinds of different things from aerospace to the defense sectors. And so a lot of good stuff that goes into play here. And we just want to continue to grow that. Now we're joined by Secretary James Bailey. This is a forestry update and everything, but the Division of Forestry is launching a new online platform today detailing the daily fire reports across the state of West Virginia. But James, maybe you could give us some more information on that.
Yes, thank you so much for having me here today, Governor, to talk about this. Under the Governor's leadership, the Department of Commerce, and specifically the Division of Forestry, continues to work tirelessly to protect and preserve and promote our wonderful forests and natural areas throughout the state. We're here today to inform everybody about the newest endeavor in that mission, and that is a new interactive platform that's called the Division of Forestry's Daily Fire Report. This platform will enable every citizen to go online and view areas where wildfires have occurred and are actively occurring. This is aimed to increase public awareness and promote the prevention of forest fires throughout the state. It'll display the locations and additional information of all the wildfires since the start of this year. Governor, I want to commend the Division of Forestry for implementing this important tool, which will allow our citizens to help keep our beautiful state forest safe. Our forestry employees, all of our foresters and rangers have such a rich history of responding when called upon to protect our forests and also our people and the property of the state. They are fiercely loyal West Virginians that understand the value and importance of our forests as you do. I'd like to specifically acknowledge Stephen Hariff with Forestry and Matthew Ditchin with the Commerce Communications who brought this to fruition. Lastly, I want to take this opportunity to remind everyone out there to make sure to understand and follow all of our burning guidelines statewide. These burning restrictions will remain in effect until the close of the spring season on May 31st. They are available on the Division of Forestry's website where you can see all the guidelines. And then in conclusion, I just want to thank the Governor for enabling us to bring this tool to the state. If there's anyone out there, I can't imagine there is, but if there's anyone out there who doesn't already know, they should know that there's not a bigger, better proponent of protecting our state's natural wonders than the Governor. And this is really just the latest tool that we've been enabled to utilize to help us in that mission. And I want to thank the Governor and again everybody with Forestry for making this happen. So thank you very much.
No, thank you, James, and great work. And to all the folks that are involved in forestry, just keep on doing the great work. I mean, and I would tell you this, and again, I'm just speaking from my heart, but if you would just take the time to get out and enjoy our woods, our streams, our incredible nature in this state, absolutely it'll touch your soul. I grew up, loving to hunt and fish. I still do. I try to get out there as often as I possibly can. It is amazing. I have had the opportunity as we move forward in our business life way before I became the Governor. I could have gone anywhere. I could have gone anywhere in the world and enjoyed the wildlife, the hunting, the fishing. I could have gone anywhere. And for all practical purposes, I didn't go hardly any place because I already had the greatest of the greatest right here. It couldn't be any better. That's all there is to it. I mean, honestly, if you've ever crawled around through rhododendron on a 4 or 5 foot trout stream full of little native brookies, and you caught one and it was 5 inches long, or maybe you caught one that was unbelievable and it was a 9-inch native brook trout, colored up so brilliantly it was off the chart. It would make you feel like catching the biggest tarpon ever and then some. Absolutely, this state abounds in beauty beyond all comprehension. Get out there. Get out there, and especially take a kid. Introduce them to something that will absolutely change their life. I thank all those folks at Forestry and James, all the great people at the DNR and Commerce and all the stuff you do. I really mean it. You're doing great work. You're doing great work in an incredible state. I've got a little bit more good news here, and God knows from the standpoint of the state police, they've had some not good news a whole lot recently. But I want to tell you about a sergeant, and I hope I'm going to pronounce this right, is Cervera. He was on duty, and he was on I-81 right outside of Martinsburg. A black SUV was pulled over, in front of him. This was on April the 11th. Actually, it was yesterday. And the sergeant got out. There was a young lady there in the SUV, and her 3-year-old son was unresponsive. He really, really moved very quickly. They got the young lady and the young boy into his cruiser, and off they went to Berkeley Medical Center, where the child was very successfully revived by the medical personnel. The child was admitted into the hospital and is currently in stable condition. In honor of this trooper's great work, we're going to present him with an official certificate of recognition, and I'm going to sign it in just 1 second. And we'll mail it to him. Let me tell you this, and I've told this a bunch of times. I'm not trying to back away from all the misconduct that we've got, and the investigations that we've got going on. We need to get to the bottom of every single bit of that. And those responsible need to pay consequences, do they not? I get it, and I'm there wholeheartedly. But I remind you over and over and over, tonight, in the middle of the night, if something goes haywire, the very first person you're going to call probably is a state trooper. Thank God this state trooper was close to this lady and her little son. We could have had a tragedy there beyond belief. The young boy is now in stable condition, and we're very thankful to God above that be the case. So with all of that, Sergeant, I'm going to sign this certificate of recognition, and we're very, very proud of your quick action that saved a life and kept a tragedy from happening. With all that being said, we absolutely want to make amends and plow a new course. Colonel Chambers will do exactly that. But we don't want to forget the good that's going on all around us every day. Thank you, sir. Okay, last thing I've got is, I've got 2 things. One thing is this, and my good gracious, you talk about a fish. Late last week, the DNR told us that someone had caught the largest golden trout in the state's history. It just so happened that it was Gold Rush. This golden trout came from a lake in Raleigh County at the Little Beaver State Park. The name of the individual that caught this fish was Benji Lilly. The last record was the record in the state of West Virginia prior to this fish being caught was 9 pounds, 9.31 pounds. It was set in 1998, 24 years ago. This fish weighed 9 pounds, 9.72 pounds, and was 26 inches long. And there's the scale, where it was weighed. And Benji, we really congratulate you. That is one whale of a fish right there. So again, get out there. For crying out loud, just get out there and enjoy what all's going on all around you in West Virginia. Last thing, we've got a COVID update, a recording that was made, by Dr. Marsh, and he's going to give us an update on where we are in COVID. I promised you I would do that every time we come on. Thank you.
Hi, this is Clay Marsh, and I'm excited to provide an update on COVID-19 during this press brief with the governor. This recording was made on Tuesday, April 11th. And as we know, the impact of COVID-19 has plateaued in the United States. We are seeing, in fact, reduced numbers of people in hospitals related to COVID-19. And we are seeing reduced numbers of deaths, although we're still averaging over 225 deaths a week from COVID-19. We also know that the variant of COVID-19 is starting to change again. We had seen the XBB 1.5 variant as the dominant variant for several months now. And in India, we're starting to see a new variant that is emerging from this family tree, and it's called the XBB 1.16 variant. And it has 3 additional mutations that make it more infectious, make it able to avoid the immune system better. So it's important not about the name specifically of the variant, but to recognize that the virus still continues to change. And although we have seen that variant in the US, it has not grown nearly as quickly as it is in India. But we always want to look around the world to get any clues about things that could interfere with our health and well-being related to COVID here in the United States and importantly in West Virginia. In the news is a new program that has been sponsored by the current administration called Project Next Gen. And this project really focuses on extending the Operation Warp Speed agenda that was started under the Trump administration. And there's 3 parts to this program. Number 1 is to come up with new monoclonal antibodies that will be more resilient to the changes in COVID-19 so that we can use that as a therapeutic intervention. Remember, with the new Omicron variants, the antibodies have become much less able to bind and to neutralize the Omicron variant. So one goal of the Project Next Gen is to develop a new type of antibody that won't be so susceptible to these genetic changes by the virus. Number 2 is to stimulate mucosal immunity, which means in the nose and the airways using a nasal vaccine. So trying to come up with a nasal vaccine for COVID-19. And number 3 is to work on a vaccine that will cover a number of variants that we've seen and variants that might occur in the future with a super COVID-19 vaccine. So what's exciting about this is that the Biden administration is committing to looking at this pandemic and learning from it to continue to evolve the tools that we have available for us to protect our population in case there is another variant that causes a problem. It's also important to recognize that COVID-19, while we're seeing a reduced impact on our population, probably because now over 92% of our population is estimated to have some level of immunity, whether from getting vaccinated, having an infection and recovering, or the combination, that this is still a disease that has a much higher impact on severity and death in our older population. And it's important for anyone who is over 50 and particularly over 65. If you haven't visited vaccinate.wv.gov to look at the vaccine calculator, then please do so, particularly if you're older or if you are immunocompromised, because we're still seeing a majority of the deaths, about 90+% now, in people 65 and older. And we know that the vaccines are very effective in reducing your risk of hospitalizations or severe consequences. We also know that the vaccines are important in reducing the risk of long COVID, as is taking Paxlovid, the oral medication. If you do test positive and you are in a risk group, for sure, because Paxlovid reduces your risk even further of hospitalizations or severe disease. But at any age, Paxlovid reduces the risk of long COVID. It appears from several studies by as much as 50%. And an anti-diabetic drug, metformin, also reduces your risk of long COVID about 42%. And that's important because a recent study came out and demonstrated that in people with long COVID, there is evidence of the COVID virus that is in the brain, in the surface of the brain. And in a small study, they demonstrated people with long COVID, about 1 out of 4 of those people have problems with their thinking and with the ability to perform simple neurological tests. So it is important to prevent those risks with long COVID. Lastly, I just wanted to review data that we alluded to earlier, but I think is really important. And this is an article that came out in The Lancet, which is a really good scientific journal. And the article demonstrated states' outcomes in individual states related to COVID-19. And what they demonstrated was that West Virginia, in that assessment, had the highest level of age and other medical illnesses for any population in any state in the country. And in fact, if you just looked at that, then the outcomes that West Virginia saw, as we would anticipate, really were impacted by the level of disease and age that we had in the state. When we look, though, at the ability of all of us working together under the governor's leadership and our team, with all of the people in the state working together, it ended up that when you adjusted for all of these starting off problems that we have in West Virginia, then we ended up having the 14th best set of outcomes that they measured in the country, which was the largest difference by far of any state in the country. I think it demonstrates that with the appropriate leadership, as the governor has given us during the pandemic, and all of us working together, we can really solve any problem. And as we want to continue to remain diligent about COVID-19 and make sure we protect the people at the highest risk, we also want to turn our focus toward the other health problems we have in the state. And working together, I believe we can continue to be a model for others. So thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Dr. Marsh, and thank you, Governor. We'll now go to questions from members of the media. The first question today is from Kenny Bass with WCHS.
Hi, thanks for taking the question. Governor, are you satisfied with the pace of the investigation of the West Virginia State Police? Thus far, we haven't seen a ton of results, a couple of transfers, but so far the scorecard reads 1 resignation, no demotions, no any type of disciplinary action taken against anyone. So are you pleased with how it's going and confident you're going to reach a conclusion sometime in the foreseeable future? Thank you.
Kenny, it's not my goal to have a whole bunch of scalps. It's just not. And, I really don't want to tolerate, and I won't. I don't want to tolerate, stealing. I don't want to tolerate the women's locker room stuff. I want an absolute investigation in regard to what's happening on, or what happened on I-81. You know, and from the standpoint of the potential rapes or the alleged rapes, we got to get to the bottom of all that. But we've got to be patient enough to give the man his due and time to be able to get to the bottom of it and to get to the bottom of it correctly. I've got absolute confidence in Jack Chambers, and I know he'll do right. I know that. But to just run out and, you know, and I know you don't want this. You know, you never have wanted this. You know, we're friends, and we've had lots of discussions about different things. All you wanted is cleaned up. Naturally, those that have done wrongdoing will be punished, but you want it cleaned up. You want exactly what I want all the time, things to be better. And so I think that we're still in the early stages of someone coming in and trying to make it better, and to step back and try to judge that because we don't have a line of people that are now, you know, severely reprimanded or whatever it may be. You know, I don't think that's, I really don't think it's fair to judge Jack Chambers on that. But at the end of the day, and I'll promise you this, I will promise this to Jack Chambers, I'll promise this to anybody. If we absolutely just think we're just going to drag along and people are going to forget about it, and we're not going to act and we're not going to get things right, then we'll have to have another colonel. But absolutely, with all in me, I want us to get to the proper justice for those that have done wrongdoing, and absolutely then on a pathway of back to restoring the greatness that they deserve to our state police. So with all that being said, you know, I'll demand that the job is done, but I have absolutely all the confidence in the world. We could never have selected anybody better than Jack Chambers. Just give him his due. He'll make us all proud. He is an absolute terrific man. And so give him his due.
All right, thanks, Kenny. Next to Charles Young with WV News.
Hi, this is Charles Young with WV News. Governor, I was wondering if you could give us any specifics of the financial incentive package that Unbio is getting. Thank you.
I'll tell you, Charles, I wish I had Mitch Carmichael with me. Maybe we can get him before we're through, but I think the total package is worth up to $9 million, but you know, the specifics of that, maybe we'll get Mitch to follow up and everything before we get done.
All right, thank you, Charles. Next to Stephen Adams with Ogden Newspapers.
Yeah, Steve Adams of Ogden Newspapers here. Pleasance Power Plant, we have keep that plant functional while Mon Power and Potomac Edison look at long-term solutions. There's going to be an evidentiary hearing next week with the PSC to try to quickly make a decision on that one way or the other. You've obviously have expressed support for keeping the plant open, but now we know what it will take, which is about a $36 million a rate increase for customers from On Power and Potomac Edison in the short term to keep that plant open. Just want to get your take on that. Now that we know what it's going to take, at least in the short term, is this something you still support? Do you think the ratepayers of those companies should bear the temporary costs of that while they figure out what's going on? What are your thoughts on that? Thank you.
Stevie, you kind of broke up on your question, but I think I've got enough of it and everything. First of all, I think we ought to let the PSC do their job and everything, and let them dig into all the details and everything. I'll be getting more and more details. I am aware of the ask or what it's going to take, supposedly from Mon Power and First Energy and everybody in regard to keeping the plant open. The plant it would be a crying shame. for the plant to die. A crying shame. You know, I know there's other things that are going on, you know, in regard to hydrogen in the plant, and there's other things that other folks that are working, you know, in the shadows right now in regard to that. But if you just step back and think about it, 158 jobs right there in Pleasants County, you know, that's huge for Pleasants County. But not only that, maybe 400 coal mine jobs that are supplying the plant with coal, that's huge. The multiplier effect of those jobs is enormous. We want to try with all in us to find a way, to find a methodology and a way to be able to keep that plant open. Now, I think it's, now that we have the ask of or the delta of where we need to go, now let's let folks really dig into the weeds and see what we come back with. But I'm glad we've got a delta. Other than, you know, before all we had was we're considering it. Now we've at least got a delta.
All right, thank you, Stephen. Next to Rachel Pellegrino with WOWK.
Hello, thank you, Governor, for taking questions. I just wanted to ask if you had a comment on the author of the 5-page anonymous letter alleging the wrongdoing of the state police coming forward yesterday. I know he said that he tried to address his concerns in the past within the state police. However, he said no process was made until this letter came out. And also just considering that it's a state-run agency, the state police, does it concern you that strides weren't taken to remediate these allegations when he first brought them up? And that strides weren't taken until this letter was received by yourself and also several lawmakers as well. Thank you.
Oh gosh, I'm really so sorry. I'm trying really hard to hear the tail end of the question, but on the first part of the question in regard to the Trooper Comer, I think you asked, you know, about him coming forward and saying that he is the whistleblower and everything and all that. You know, I guess, you know, by him saying he is the person that wrote the letter or he is the whistleblower, I guess there's you know, some validity in that. We'd probably like to take that a couple of steps further and everything before we say ironclad that we're believing that wholeheartedly. You know, that trooper's under investigation at this time, of which I can't comment on and everything, but it is a substantial investigation, and we need to get to the bottom of all that, and you know, we'll have to see how all that plays out. But I'm sorry, I could not understand the second half of the question, but you know, maybe Jordan, did y'all get it or whatever?
Yeah, Rachel, do you mind just to ask that one more time?
Yes, I can. Sorry. Let me see if this, the second part was that, I understand that, Trooper Comer, he tried to address these concerns in the past, within the state police. However, no progress was really made, to address the concerns until this letter. So I was just trying to ask, if that concerned you that he tried to address these concerns before, but, no strides were really taken until this letter was received.
Okay, well, naturally, from our standpoint, you know, and Homeland Security standpoint, we could not possibly take action until we knew about it. And as soon as we did, we took action. You know, or as soon as we got a letter, we took action. Now, but let me just say just this. What you're referring to, if it's true, is the biggest part of the problem. The biggest part of the problem is when someone brought issues or problems to somebody that was a superior and nothing was done and or it was covered up, that becomes a bigger problem than maybe the acts themselves. Now, I don't make light of the acts themselves, especially the assault on women. That's just beyond terrible to me. But with all that being said, you know, if it's true that he went to supervisors and reported things and nothing was done or it was covered up, that's bad stuff. It's really, really bad stuff. And I expect Jack Chambers to get to the bottom of that. But I think really for me to dig into what I know about the investigation and everything so far until it's complete, I'm just not going to do that.
All right, thank you, Rachel. Next, we'll go to Stephen Smoot with the Pendleton Times.
Thank you, Governor, for taking my question. In a town of Franklin council meeting last night, they've discussed an issue with a new PSC rule that's not allowing water utilities to provide leak relief until the leak is 200% of normal usage, and this prevents town water utilities from helping their customers with leak relief when they get leaks that they didn't even know were taking place. Is there a possible fix for these town water utilities where they can provide relief and not have to wait until the customers run up 200% of normal usage? Thank you very much, sir.
Stephen, I don't know a great deal about this at this point in time, but I'll promise you I'll get into it and I'll find out and everything. Your concern does not makes complete sense to me. It does not make any sense at all that nothing can be done till we've got a 200% leakage. It makes no sense to me. And so, I salute you again in the great community of Franklin. I've spent a lot of time on the South Branch of the Potomac trout fishing, but I'll get into it. And you know me well enough to know I don't blow smoke at anybody. If I tell you I'll do it, I'll do it.
All right, thanks, Stephen. Next to Curtis Johnson with WSAZ.
Hey, thank you, Governor. Thank you so much for taking my question. Aside from confirming that his client authored the letter, Comer's attorney also tells me that he reached out to Colonel Chambers last week, claiming that state police is taking too long to make progress on Comer's case. He claims that none of the state police investigations would have taken place without Comer's letter, and yet Comer is on leave while those involved in the broader allegations continue to work. How do you respond to that? Is there an active investigation or active review of Comer's arrest, considering he says it's retaliatory? And has anyone else been placed on leave as a result of his letter?
Curtis, again, I'm really having a hard time understanding people today, but the bottom line of the whole thing is, Curtis, we want to be right. We don't want to be fast. We want to be right. And from the standpoint, of debating something back and forth with the Comer individual in the media and everything, I'm not going to do that. I mean, that's just silly. At the end of the day, we're going to get to the bottom of this. Jack Chambers is going to get to the bottom of it. And I am absolutely confident that Jack Chambers and his people will get to the bottom of it. And if they don't, we'll blow another bubble. But we'll get to the bottom of it.
All right, thank you, Curtis. Governor, back to you.
Oh, I'm sorry my phone rang there, but guys, I'm glad to have the questions about the state police. Truly. I mean, I'm glad to have them, because I want exactly what you want. I want the conclusions of the investigations. I want the people that are the bad actors to have the right consequences. But I want more than anything for us to get on the right path of honor beyond belief for all the folks in the state police that are doing great work every day, and for the agency perpetually, as we go forward. That's what I want. I thank all those that, without going through everything, that we've already, done in the briefing, and, especially the new folks from South Korea and everything that are coming to Morgantown and bringing us opportunities. But we sure got issues and we got challenges and everything. And what do? We take the challenges on head on and we tell the truth. And that's what I do. And that's what I'm always going to do. So all that being said, I think if we'll keep pulling the rope together, we'll get there. Thank you so much.